What is going on, guys? Just Connor here, bringing you guys back another Yu-Gi-Oh video. So today we are doing another Dragon Link video, or as I like to call my variant, Chaos Dragon Link. This is my favorite deck to upload about, my favorite deck to play on, my favorite deck to work around. I think it's one of the best decks in the game still. Got hit on the ban list a lot. Still keeps coming back. And as long as it's playable, I'm going to keep playing it because I love Dragon Link and I just love dragons and Yu-Gi-Oh in general. So I bumped this deck up to 60 cards because I was so close to 60 anyway. The deck was like 55, I think, with the most recent update to the deck. And I was just like, you know what? I'm going to go to make that push to 60 because I'm so close. I might as well run the hand traps and a couple extra extenders that I think the deck needed. So I did that, and I kind of think I perfected the deck, at least for my taste. I think for how I want to play the deck, I think this is a perfect deck list. If you don't think so, play it how you want it, drop what you want to drop, replace what you want to replace. And yeah, before we get into this, I want to point out that 97% of my viewers are not subscribed. And I have about 800 returning viewers according to my YouTube analytics. So it takes 1 second to hit that one little button to subscribe, and it helps me out phenomenally. Your boy wants to go full time and bring you guys videos every single day, if not multiple times a day. So help a guy out with reaching his goals, please, and thank you so much. Without further ado, let's get into this deck profile. Okay, guys, first up is the 3 Rocket Tracer. This is not changing. I've always ran 3. I think 3 is necessary. I don't agree with running 2. You want to see this guy in pretty much every opening hand. You want him in your hand as much as you possibly can. So 3 is what he's being at, and 3 is also kind of good for the late game and, you know, grinding the games out. So yeah, if you don't know what he does, he pops the card and then special summons another. He pops one of your own cards actually, and then he brings out another rocket monster, and then you synchro or can link off of that, but it locks in the darks in the extra deck. But that's not too big of a deal. 1 recharger and 1 silver rocket. So I run 2 of these because I run 3 rocket tracer. And that's also good for the late game. So if you have to, you know, you can go into Chaos Ruler, or you can go into Borderload Savage, or other link plays, like I said. Yeah, the 2 comes up, and I don't think I'm going to be running at 1. I never really end up with either of these guys in my hand, so it's not a huge issue. Like I said, I run 60 cards, so you don't really see too many of the bricks, and these guys aren't really bricks anyway. 2100 attack for a normal summon to just set isn't that bad. If everything gets ashed and everything goes bad, you know what I'm saying? Or 1900 attack late game if you you know, clear an opponent's board or whatever. Very subtly, but you know, it's still good, I think, to run 2 of these guys, or 1 each. You can run 2 and 2 if you want, or 2 and 2. But this is just what I like. This is new, 1 Rocket Caliber. So this guy can special summon himself to a zone that a dark link monster points to, and he helps you go into Borrowland a lot. So he's a pretty good extender, and I've been trying him out. He's actually really good. He doesn't brick up. I think you guys should really give this a try, and you know, D-Link obviously. 2 Synchron, this also has not changed. I still think you need the second one for late game, or to use for link plays and stuff like that. So yeah, this guy just special summons a level 5 or higher dark dragon from the graveyard. So normal him, bring out Apsarouter, go into Chaos Ruler, that type of ordeal, or you can go into the Dark Charmer Gloomy with them. 2 Apsarouter. This is actually a card that I've considered bumping up to 3, just because, like, if it gets ashed, or like, I want to see it more often. Like, if I have this plus Safer, you can ditch it for Nocto, and so it's kind of like you get its effect twice plus an extra add. So you can ditch this, add Nocto, search a rocket, and then go into Striker Dragon. Well, actually, yeah, go into Striker Dragon, bring out Nocto, draw a card, and then you know, after you link off with them, go into Seal or whatever you would go into. But yeah, this is just a really good card, and it's great to see in your opening hand. So I've actually considered running it at 3 just to see it a little bit more often, especially for that safer play. Speaking of safer, I run 3 of him. Don't know why I said it like that. But yeah, this is just your main searcher. This guy, he normal summon him, send himself to the graveyard, and then get a black or white dragon. Or like I just talked about, the Router and Nocto play, where you ditch, you know, I just explained it. So yeah, this is a great card. It's a light dragon. This deck really needed it, especially the version that I play, the more chaos-oriented version. Really needed something like this. I just wish we would get, I really wish we would get 1 Striker Dragon back, so we could have 2 Striker Dragons, and I would like an Eclipse Dragon. That's all I want. That's all I want. But safer, great card. Run 3 of it. One of the babies. I actually don't know if I used to say if I could run more, I would. I don't know if I would. I'm kind of used to the 1 and the 1. With safer, searching them, you kind of, you know, you don't really miss having them at multiples. But yeah, no, these guys are essential to the deck, and I definitely recommend playing them in the deck. I don't know why you wouldn't. 1 Light Pulsar Dragon. This is where the more chaos stuff kind of gets in. This is one of my favorite cards. I've been playing Chaos Dragons since the Dragon Collides deck came out. And when Rockets came out, I immediately tried to, you know, kind of form them into a Chaos Rocket kind of ordeal. I used to run Dark Flare Dragon, but he doesn't come up enough. Level 5 is kind of clunky in the deck. You know, even for Destrudo and stuff like that. And his effect to just ditch dragons, waste so many materials, it's really not worth it. But Light Pulsar Dragon actually has a really good synergy. You can banish a light and a dark, bring him out, have an extra 2,500 monster on the field, or you can use him for link plays. He doesn't lock you in anything. You can bring him back if you ditch your light and dark, but you don't ever really do that because it's such a neg. And when he's sent to the graveyard, he special summons a level 5 or higher dark dragon monster, so he can bring back like your Chaos Ruler, your Borreload Savage. He can bring back Red Eyes, Red MD, what I'm talking about. He can bring back Levineer, all that good stuff. So I would definitely recommend giving this guy a try. Some people call it a win more card, but I don't agree with that. I actually think he's a pretty good extender because you can get lights in the graveyard pretty easily now. 1 Blackluster Soldier, Envoy at the beginning. I play this because I've always thought Blackluster Soldier was cool, and he actually comes up sometimes. He is kind of a win more card, but you know, a free banish or a double attack isn't bad at all, just to banish a light and a dark. I definitely recommend giving this a guy a try, but I might cut him for the Pendulum Armageddon Dragon. I'm undecided yet. Once I get a hold of that card, I'll do a little play testing. I'll play around with it on Duel Links or Master Duel, I mean. Once I get the deck done on Master Duel. But for right now, I really love playing this card. And I know a lot of people can say, like, oh, it's a brick. But worst case scenario, if you can't bring it out, and you just Chaos Space it. Because 9 times out of 10, if I end up with this card in my hand and I can't bring it out, I have Chaos Space. And I can just Chaos Space it. So that's absolute worst case scenario, and then you can use Chaos Space to recycle it, so it's not that big of a deal. 1 Red MD, because it's Red MD. You can use this with the Light Pulsar, like I said, have them both in the field. Red MD gets destroyed, and then Light Pulsar gets destroyed, bring it back. If Light Pulsar gets destroyed, bring it back with Red MD, no issue. 1 Levineer, this is standard, rip a card out of your opponent's hand, destroy 2 cards on the field, or special summon a monster in defense position. You never really do that last effect, but the other 2 come up a lot. So, yeah, standard. 1 Chamber Dragon Maid. I've considered bumping this up to 2 and tidying up to 3, but for right now, I'm liking the 1 and spoiler alert 2 ratio. So, I definitely do recommend running the Chamber Dragon Maid. I do know people are cutting it here and there, but it comes up a lot to extend your plays. 1 Brotar. This is something that you could actually get away with cutting, but some of the cards that I put in this deck to make it 60 cards make this guy a lot more viable. So yeah, I think him being in the deck is fine. He's a searcher and he's an extra dragon in the body. Black Metal Dragon. I was always very adamant about not putting this in the deck because I didn't think it was necessary, and I wanted to run other stuff, but I decided to cut Albaz and try this out, and I actually don't miss Albaz all that much because this is another searcher, thins the deck, still dragon, it's still a normal summon, because Albaz couldn't special summon himself, so this is actually more beneficial than having Albaz, because like people kind of got used to dealing with Despia, so it's not really a surprise anymore. Um, but yeah, so I decided to I cracked and I cut the Albaz, and as cool as it was, Black Metal Dragon it comes up more and it plays a little bit better. Double Nocto, again, you could run this at 3, but I think the other cards I run in this deck are more important. This guy special summons himself from your hand when a Dark Dragon is special summoned, and then when he uses Link material, he draws you a card, and then while he's in the graveyard, he is spell and trap protection, so if an opponent tries to target, like if you set like a Monster Reborn, or you're tidying, or a field spell, whatever you would set for whatever reason, he'll protect it. So, like I said, you could bump it up to 3, but 2 is standard, and 2 is what I like. 1 Galactic Spiral. You don't see this played in a lot of decks, or it's not exactly standard, I guess, but this guy's nothing but a free extender. If he's in your hand, ditch him for Ravine plays, and then he special summons himself from the graveyard anyway. So, like, yeah, it's kind of lame when he's in your hand, but he extends your hand anyway, so he's free discard fodder, and then he brings himself back on the field anyway. So, like, I understand the whole brick concept of people thinking this, but it's really not. I promise you in playtesting, it works out fantastically. 1 Destrudo, another thing that people don't play a lot. I actually don't play Shooting Riser Dragon in the extra deck, which is why a lot of people play this card for. But I actually play this guy for Boilwind. And for whatever reason, a lot of hands, I have a way to send this guy to the graveyard. Or even if he ends up in your hand, you just pay half your life points, bring him out. And then once you bring out Boilwind, a lot of people don't really have an answer for him. So being down to 4,000 life points doesn't really bother you all that much anyway. So yeah, I definitely recommend giving Destrudo a try. Fairy Tale Snow, I kind of wrap this in with hand traps because it's a Book of Moon on legs that can special summon itself. So you banish 7 cards. It doesn't have to be monster cards. It can be spells, traps, monsters, anything. It just has to banish 7 of them from your graveyard, and it can keep recycling itself. And like I said, it's a light, so you can help break your opponent's board with this, and then you can use it for links or things like that. It's just a great extender for the deck, I guess, and a really good kind of mess with your opponent card. And it helps you out things that you really wouldn't be able to out sometimes. But again, I just really recommend this card. I also run a Dragonity package, so I run 3 Remus, 1 Legatus, and 1 Mist Valley Baby Rock. Sorry about that. Yeah, so this does require you to play 2 bricks. Basically, Remus, you ditch him, and then add a Ravine to your hand, and then use Ravine, discard a card to add Legatus to your hand. Legatus special summons himself if a Dragonity card or Dragon Ravine is face up on the field, so he immediately brings himself out. Remus, when there is a Dragonity monster in the field, special summons itself from the graveyard. Synchro with these guys into Gaydir. Add the Mist Valley to your hand. Discard it off of Gaydir's effect, and then his effect will special summon himself. And then you go into Crystal Wing. And Crystal Wing is another thing that people really don't expect in Dragon Link. And they actually, I feel like they expect it less than like the Albaz plays and the Despia fusions. So, and then, but when they see this, most people will automatically know, like, oh, he's going to go into Crystal Wing. Or, even if they don't know I'm playing Dragon Link, they might think I'm playing Dragonity, and all they know is they're going to want to hit this Remus. So, this Remus is great, hand trap bait. And if they don't ash it or like respond to it, then you're golden. You get Crystal Wing on the field, and then if you have like Steel Savage in your hand, you can still go for that too. This guy is just really, really dope because he either almost guarantees your other Dragon Link plays go through, or he adds a freaking Crystal Wing Synchro Dragon to your field. So, like, the bricks are definitely worth the risk of running it, especially in a 60 card version. And half the time, like, the only brick I end up with is Mist Valley. And I'll discard Mist Valley off of Ravine through a Romulus play anyway. And then I'll use this to help me go into, like, Borrowend or Boral Sword. Or, that's worst case scenario if I don't have other options. Other than that, I'll save it to try and go into Crystal Wing later. That's another thing. If it does get ashed, you have 3. So you can always just go into Crystal Wing late game. And with Red MD, Remus is still a dragon card. So, you know, if a second one gets ashed or you mill one, you just bring it back. And then you can still use your Ravine to search out your Legatus and all that. It works out, and it's very good. And I cannot recommend it enough. I was a little skeptical about it at first, but through playtesting, Crystal Wing is just such a great card. And these just add so much to the deck that I say just go for it. One quickie, Maru Draco. I got this off of the French Nationals. I thought that was a genius play. And if you don't want to like leave him on the field, like if you're trying to go into your stuff next turn, you can just not pay the reveal. So you reveal a dragon from your hand to keep him on the field, and that, or if you don't, he'll destroy himself. But you usually leave him on the field. He's not that big of a deal. Yeah, he locks you out of your own light and dark, but like if you don't have a normal summon or you draw into him and you just play him, half the meta decks are locked down. Like Despia can't special summon. A lot of Tangy can't do stuff. That, you know, this guy he helped a lot in the deck, and I just thought this was a genius play. I don't really like the fusion play. I feel like that's too bricky. And I opted to play Spiral, Galactic Spiral, instead of the Rapid Trigger Search card. I forget what that's called. Whatever that Rocket Dragon is called. But yeah, I didn't want to play those, but I did want to play this. I thought this was a great addition to the deck. And it's a dragon, so you can link it into Romulus. That is a downfall. You can only link into Romulus with this, because while it's still in the field, you can't link it to go into a Dark Dragon. It blocked itself. So you can't link this into like a Seal or Quad War or anything like that. So do keep that in mind if you play this card. Hand traps, I bumped it with 3 Gamma and the 1 Driver. So if you watch my other videos, I played 2 Gamma, and I started thinking about it, and the deck struggles with lights. So I figured bump the deck up to 60 cards. I won't see double Gamma in my hand, and it worked. So I stopped seeing double Gamma in my hand all the time when I bumped the deck up to 60 cards. And if I mill one, then I have a light in the deck, in the graveyard to play with. So typically, like, and if I mill 2, okay, fantastic. I add 1 to my hand, and then I have an extra light in the graveyard to mess with. So that is my thought process on going back up to 3. And if you watch my other videos, knowing why I play 2. So going to 60, I think I'm going to play 3 from here out. 2 Effect Veiler to go with the whole theme of this deck needs light. And yeah, this just targets a monster in the field and negates its effect. I run 3 Ash Blossom because this is a nutty hand trap. You should just always run this in any deck no matter what. It hits just about everything. And then I run 2 imperm. So, like I said, I wanted to up this deck to 60, so I decided to play more hand traps. Those being the extra gamma and the 2 imperms. So, imperm is another thing that your Nocto Vision can protect. So if you have an imperm and your opponent tries to destroy it, you can either just activate the imperm, or if you don't want to activate it yet, you can banish the Nocto and protect it. So yeah, these are the hand traps. I really like this ratio, and you can switch them out. Like you can switch one of the ashes out for like DD Crow, stuff like that. Anti-magic fragrance, dimension force, or no, dimension wall, whatever it is, the one that's completely shuts down Branded Despia and Synchron and Sword Soul Tenyi, that whatever that is. I can't remember it off the top of my head, but yeah, I really like this ratio of hand traps, and it gives you good options for siding out, as well as you can always side out Destrudo and Fairy Tail Snow for a bit more situational decks that you're going up against that they might not help you against, or bad matchups where you might want to save your life points, that kind of ordeal. So 3 quick launch starting off the spell cards. This is typically standard. I am going to get 2 more secrets eventually. I'm super broke because I painted my Mustang. I talked about him one of my last deck profile. Anyway, eventually this would be a max rarity deck. Quick launch, play 3 of it. It's self-explanatory. Special summons a rocket from your deck. Yeah, I'll have a test combo video on this deck soon. 3 Chaos Space. Again, this is standard. You should be playing it in your deck. I know there's people who don't play this. I think you should play it, and I think you'll be like, oh my god, I should have been playing this all along. I've been such a fool. No offense. It's just such a wonderful card. It helps you search so much. But shout out to whoever that, I can't remember his name off the top of my head, but let me know what card you play instead of this, because I know there is a player that comments on my video sometimes who does not play Chaos Space. Let me know what you play instead of it and how you kind of work around not having it. Maybe I'll give it a try without Chaos Space, but only if you give Chaos Space a try, alright? So, yeah, this is a great card, great searcher, and you should definitely play it, in my opinion. 1 Guard Dragon. This card's kind of on his last leg, like I've been talking about for the last couple of videos. I don't know what I would take out to replace it. It does come up every now and then, especially with Pisty. Like, if you have this in your hand, and then, like, you can have, like, I don't know, Rocket Tracer, use it to go into Pisty, bring it back, go into Striker Dragon if you still have it, stuff like that. Or if you have, like, a Striker Dragon, you can go into Pisty, or, Striker Dragon, play this, bring back whatever you went into Striker Dragon with, and then, or, there's a certain play where, I forget what card it is, but you just bring it out, and then you move Pisty over, and you can use Pisty's effect without going through a whole shebang shenanigans. I'll show you that in the test hand combo. I'm sorry, I just can't think of it off the top of my head. 1 Reborn. I'm still pretty adamant about this card because always being able to bring back one of your monsters or your opponents is never a bad thing. But seeing it in your opening hand is kind of trash because you kind of have, like, if you don't have more extenders, you have to waste it. Kind of like Guard Dragon. It's like a 1-use Guard Dragon. You just, I'll bring this out to keep extending. But for right now, I like it. It doesn't really happen that much that I want to cut it. So, you know, you can play test it. If you don't like it, cut it. I don't mind it. Like I said, it does come up where I can bring back real strong monsters with this guy. So, hey. 1 Foolish. This is actually a really good extender, and it's also a good ash bait because people will be like, well, whatever that is, he's probably doing it to gain an advantage, which 9 times out of 10 you'll play this, and then you'll either send Apsarouter or Galactic Spiral, depending on what you need. If you have Legatus in this in your hand, you can actually play Legatus and then Foolish Burial the Romulus, and then go into Gadir like that. So that's actually pretty cool. But yeah, if people don't hit it, you can do some pretty cool plays with this. 1 for 1. This is another card that I was pretty adamant about not adding because I felt like there wasn't enough targets. but bumping it up to 60, I had to fill spaces, and this seemed like a great extender to have. With the Synchrons, the Brotar, especially the black. I apologize about that. I coughed. The black metal dragon, and just all of those. I feel like you have enough targets that you can use this card. Even in the late grind game, you won't always have a level 1. You'll typically still have one in your deck that you can use this card for. So yeah, I definitely recommend giving this a try, at least if you have a higher deck count and aren't afraid to play the 60 card variant. Called by because you want all of your plays to go through. 1 boot sector, and I actually play 2 ravine. Again, I'm gonna put these guys to max rarity at some point. I play double ravine simply because I play Remus, especially with Remus being at 3. Because if you only run 1 ravine, you're kind of like forced to pick between your Remus plays or your Romulus plays, and I didn't want to be tied down necessarily. And with double ravine, you can like destroy it to play boot sector, or pop it off of like tracer or something like that and not feel too bad about it because you have another one. Because ravine actually comes up sometimes where you can like ditch whatever card you drew if you used up your hand and then your hand traps and stuff. You can ditch whatever you drew, send a card to the graveyard and then play like that. Like you can send Router and stuff if you have to, if you weren't able to do it before, or if I end up bumping up to 3 and I have 1 left. But yeah, there's just a lot of plays you can do with 2. And it really doesn't clog up your hand as much. If anything, boot sector clogs up my hand. I don't know why, but boot sector ends up in my hand all the time, but I can't cut it, so. But yeah, that's a fun little twist with it. I understand some people might not like that, but honestly, don't knock it till you try it. To round out the main deck, we have the 2 tidying. I've considered bumping this up to 3. You can play around with the tidying and chamber ratios as much as you want. I've been debating between trying 2 and 3 or 3 and 1. With Striker Dragon being at 1, there's not nearly as much of a need to have Dragon Maid in the deck at 3. So for right now, I'm thinking the 1 and the 2 is fine. I can usually end up searching a tidying or have 1 in my hand already in my opening hand. So yeah, for right now, the 2 is working. But yeah, if you want to play it differently, So that's it for the main deck. I'm going to get into the extra deck. Guys, so we have Zombie Vampire for the first monster. This is the Exceed you go into. So typically, what you'll do is using Galactic Spiral, you bring it out, and then he'll make every monster on the field into a level 8. So you can either just use a random monster that was not a level 8, or what I like to do is I like to bring back Chaos Ruler, and then I will use Galactic Spiral Dragon's effect to bring himself back. So they're both brought back, and then so we can actually recycle both of them. You go into Zombie Vampire because they're no longer on the field. They're like in limbo as Exceed material. So when they're sent to the graveyard, and you can reuse them. They're not banished. So this is great for recycling your materials and your extenders. 1 Gay Deer. This is for the Crystal Wing Synchro Dragon play, obviously. The Crystal Wing, obviously. This is a great card for the deck. I would definitely recommend it. 1 Chaos Ruler, bread and butter. This guy helps your plays so much. People want to hit this card all the time. 1 Boral Sword, or not Boral, Boral Sword, Borreload Savage. This is typical. Get the link from your graveyard to have a negate. Ups his attack. He'll typically end up being about 3,500. 1 Hot Red. I actually almost cut this guy instead of the fusion cards, but he comes up way too much. He's much better for this deck. Great card. I should never even considered it. Definitely play him. Striker Dragon starting off the links. 1 Pisty. I cut the fusion monster to run Pisty. because my original concept was that it was time to let go of Pisty. Pisty was dead. The deck was better off without it. And through playtesting, I think that is just wrong, because when you're able to bring out either Pisty and Striker Dragon, or what I end up doing half the time is bring out Quad Boral Dragon, because of the extra arrow there. So it just comes up so much to go into, if you can afford access code, to go into access code, or Boral Sword if you run that instead. It just comes up so much as an extender, and Albaz is just kind of dead in your hand if it's starting. So, like I said, I made the decision, and I don't think I'm gonna look back. It just opens up so many more plays. Romulus. This is typical. Probably not gonna cut him. One Charmer, the Dark Charmer Gloomy. This is pretty typical nowadays. A lot of the meta decks are have dark, so you can bring back like Despia cards and stuff with this guy. And then you go into your link climbs. One Seal. I see a lot of people run this at 2. If you cut the Crystal Wing package, you can either run the IP and the Nightmare Unicorn package, or you can run double Seals, IP, and then I run Triple Burst, but you can cut Triple Burst for Unicorn. Because I run Crystal Wing, and I think it's a fair trade-off instead of the IP and the Unicorn, because they both take up 2 extra deck spots. The IP Unicorn's a little bit easier to get into, but I think this is worth the little bit of difficulty getting into. Because Crystal Wing is just such a fantastic card. One Boral Sword. This is because I can't afford access code talker. This really is not a bad card at all, actually. It is a fairly decent replacement for access code, and it comes up a lot. So if you can't afford access code talker, this is a fantastic side option. And for the last card, Borrowend. I was skeptical about this card when it first came out, because I was like, ooh, a Link 5? How am I ever going to be able to do that, plus get into, like, Borreload Savage, or even, Chaos Ruler, stuff like that. I was like, that's going to be hard to bring out. It's not. It's a big reason I brought Pisty back. If you run Pisty, Borrowend is so much easier to bring out. He is insane. You bring him out, people typically don't have an answer for him. You could also possibly cut these guys for the other Rocket Link. I forget what it's called. It's the little purple guy. I don't like him. I wanted to put stronger monsters in the extra deck, because I feel like a lot of the extra deck spaces are used for like toolbox cards, like to get into the bigger ones. So it's not necessarily wasted space, but it's weaker extra deck monsters that aren't going to be on the field. And I wanted to try and limit that at least a little bit with like Dark Charmer, Seals, stuff like that. But yeah, overall, I really, really like this extra deck. I'm sorry if I'm kind of rambling. Yeah, this was the extra deck. You already saw the main deck. I love this. I don't think I'm going to be changing this up a whole lot unless we get new support. The main deck might change a little bit depending on the meta. But for right now, I love it. I think it's perfect. And yeah, here is the outro. Okay, guys, so that was my Chaos Dragon Link updated deck profile. Like I said, I think, at least for me, this is the perfect deck list. Let me know what you guys think down below, what you would change, what you would switch up. And yeah, I don't want to keep these outros going too long, so hopefully I'll see you guys next time. And yeah, don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time.